Hi there. Welcome again to Talk Architecture Podcast. I'm your host, Naziati Muhammad Yaakob, and I have with me on the series and the topics of women architects in leadership roles. I have with me in part two architect Cheryl Quan. Welcome again.
Hello, Dr. Naziati. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, I was so excited because the other day I went to this Borak Borak. Borak Borak means in English chat, right? Or
Mm,
talk session commemorating the exhibition of the Malaysian Architecture Week, which is not a Malaysian Institute of Architect a program. It is totally, they have different people curating this. And as I understand it, Dr. Tan Lokman and Architect Bay and yourself, you had a hand at curating the Malaysian Architecture Week. And I went there and it was a very interesting discussion. And we had my partner in the studio, Kevin Matlow, coming back from wherever he is
yeah.
coming back from. And
Mm.
how do you come to be
Mm.
doing that architecture exhibition with the younger architects? And what was the main intention about that? And perhaps you can talk about the good and the bad that you experienced with regard to that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Actually, there are five of us. So, architect Firadaus Kaziz, architect Bezizi, Chong Wei Li, architect Yong Ling Chi, and me. Yeah. And actually, five of us, we are all from Emerging Architects 40 under 40. So after being elected as 40 under 40, we are all asking ourselves, since we are selected, and of course we are happy, but then the next question, immediate next question will be, what can we do for this generation, you know?
Mhm.
And uh apparently we find that there is a big gap between like Dr. Tan Lok Man time
Yeah.
and us. So there are very huge gap in between. There's no, how to say, uh those who able to, I mean, lead up or become the next leader in PEM, you know.
Mm,
I'm not saying that there's no, I mean, potential leader, but then uh the number of people, the number of architects is very lacking, and we are not active. Most of the architects, practicing architects, they are not very active in contributing to this community.
mm,
And when we, of course, we have a lot of gatherings for this group, 40 under 40. And from there, I know a lot of new friends. So like architect Fira, Whaley, they are the new friends that I made through these platforms. And when we like have a teh tarik session, like we gather and then we chit chat, you know, we talk a lot about our architecture industry.
mm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
and we suddenly had the urge that uh we can do something in promoting architects like us, because they are working architect. I mean
Mm,
architects under 40, they are under employment. But most of us are, we have our own setup, a small setup. And we find that all of us has the same similarity. We struggle a lot in stabilize our setup, in getting clients, and how do we handle clients, you know. We have the similar, we are, all of us are on the similar page. And
mm,
that's why we have a lot of topics to discuss about. And one day, we think that we might able to do something to elevate this profession, you know, because in our generations, we find that clients has not 100% trust on us. Because they know, compared to the previous generation,
mm,
they know more compared to the previous generation, you know. They know about contracts, they know about laws, they know the possibilities in architectural design, you know. So they are very knowledgeable.
You're
And
talking about Dr. Tan's generation compared to your generation.
yeah, 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 yeah.
In general, there is this
Mm,
lack of
mm,
experience in certain things in architecture practice that you
mm.
find a gap lah. Okay.
Yeah, and the dignity of the profession, of course, is much lesser compared to the good old days. And we wish to elevate this profession to a level where we gain the respects. We are the party who the public will look for us. Like for example, the expo thingy.
Mm.
So even government has not knowing what architects can do. Or maybe they don't have so much trust in entrusting an architect to as a leader, in leading all this. So,
I have something to say
mm, okay,
because
please.
well, of
Mm,
course, what I say is from architecture education.
mm, mm,
My perspective is colored by my experience in architecture education. The other profession, I've said it in the podcast before, the profession like medicine, engineering, they all would tell the government what they want,
mm,
how the education need to be, but architects don't. At the
mm,
end of the bottom line is, I was involved with Hala Tuju Seni Bina. It was an old document. I forgot already. Is it 1999? But after that, there seem to be opinions. We seem to be kowtow with the government, and JKR is making. It seems to be like in control with Lembaga Architect Malaysia, and there is no difference between Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia and Lembaga Architect Malaysia. From my own sincere experience,
mm,
of course, the little things counts. You see what how we experience with the different organization. So in this, there is this apology, or JKR architects. We can see that some of them get government jobs, but what about the architects who don't have access to government clients and
mm,
stuff like that? I mean, there are this protectionism going on, which I'm not going to go into because I feel like allege, trying to
mm,
say. But I have something. That's why I did this podcast. And I know
mm,
you are mindful of architecture education, but your people who are the community talking about architecture industry in a teh tarik session that you all have, and
mm,
actually doing this architecture week and trying to promote architectural like you all, architects like you all who are mostly in their 40s, right? And then
mm,
also wanting to have a link to those younger generation as well. And it's a very commendable thing, actually, opening the
mm,
discussions and all that, and breaking up the protectionism attitude that had somehow creep into the situation that creating this gap.
mm,
Do continue with what you're gonna
mm.
say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm,
but
mm,
but I'm sure that when you set up this exhibition,
mm,
you didn't get Pam to do this. You got to do this yourself.
mm,
So you must have some opinion about Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia. But Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia is becoming like lamb. This is my thinking, because there are other Pertubuhan as well, like ACAM and I don't know what other, to assist the architects and their plight and their problems. But like RIBA with ARB, they have this already a strong institution. So we can't deny Pertubuhan Architects' role in this. How does Pam react to your exhibition, your architecture week, and and do they support it?
mm.
And all those
Okay,
questions
yeah.
about that. And how do they support it?
Initially, this exhibition is meant to prepare us for the Osaka Expo exhibition. But of course, while we were talking with the uh, Matrat, right?
Okay,
We
yeah.
noticed that it's too late. Yeah, we were too late, and then but we still keep the momentum going. We say, oh, we actually still can target for other events, and we might start with a local exhibition And perhaps the following years, we can bring this exhibition to overseas. And we don't know who to invite. And we are not going through PAM because we talked to a few people from PAM and they said the process will be longer
Right, right.
because, yeah, we have to go through a series of meetings, approval of funding, things like this. So we find that the time is insufficient for us for the
Mm.
uh, in going to the expo. But when the expo exhibition is turned down, we are now targeting for eventually bringing it to a Venice Biennale. We are aiming higher and higher, but at the same time, we also find out the issues where uh, our local architects, I mean, most of us might not aware that there are many overseas foreign architects coming in, and we've noticed that this exhibition might give awareness to all the practicing architects, especially those with their own setup, to rethink what they are doing on hand. Yeah, because this exhibition, most of the architects, they put up their own works. Yeah. But when they are putting ups, they see what the peers are putting up also. There might be a chance or a moment for them to ponder about what is their current position, you know, and in a way that it is like studio pinup lah.
It
You
felt
see
very
what's,
much like that, isn't it? It felt like a
mm,
studio pin-up in an architecture
mm,
school. When I
yeah,
that particular session where, I think depends on the mixture of people there. Did
mm.
you find anything that you learned from these borat sessions that are, or do you find some patterns or commonalities, or do you find something worth talking about that you have observed from all these sessions?
Yeah, let me try to relate a little bit back to the leadership or roles in for women in architecture because
Okay, yeah,
I
good.
had I had 7 years of blank period because I was giving birth, to my two
Okay.
children, you know. So when I was elected as one of the 40 under 40 emerging architects, I regained my social life in
Mm,
this industry and I know a lot more new friends. And along the way, right, I gained confidence in myself because I found myself back, you know,
mm,
and we had a lot of exchange of opinion about this industry or how to carry out our business, you know, our setup, how to handle clients, how to handle the financial flow, you know. I gained confidence because I feel myself I know a lot more and most of the problems that I'm facing, other people's are facing too. And I learn how other people's handle it, you know. So yeah, and through exhibition, I believe the 34 participants, they learn a lot also because suddenly we need to discuss what kind of material for the model, you know, how to do model, good
yeah.
model for this scheme.
Mm,
And because we are doing a sectional model, so which section to be cut, you know, or which part of the buildings to be highlighted, you know. And I believe all of us we learn a lot from throughout this process and we make new friends and we feel that uh we are counting on each other lah. The Koto Royong style, yeah. It really bond us together.
there was a
And
lot of sacrifices on their own part lah and yourself, because
mm,
obviously there's, you
mm,
know, this is something voluntary, right?
yeah, correct.
Mm.
Mm,
Gotong royong is
mm,
volunteer.
mm,
But they were unanimous in the same vision on what it can do for them,
mm,
and the belief in what it can do for the group lah.
mm, mm.
So that was, you said 7 years gap before you 40 under 40. Is that what you said?
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
But that was inclusive of their fresh graduate years.
No, I
Oh,
think, yeah, no, not including.
no, okay.
Yeah.
There was a gap of,
Mm,
all right, yeah.
mm,
So you had like a semi practice because you were having children and stuff like that. I mean, this is really, really, I mean, architect Aisha also had twins and she had the gap and she managed to go back to the same company. And then you had a gap and then you regain your social life again.
Mm.
And then, and this is important to you, right? This community and doing exhibitions. It's like, how important is this to you compared to what you're doing as your practice in architecture?
Looking for creative inspiration? Graphite Pro Radio explores the intersection of design, culture, and innovation, one conversation at a time. Join us for deep dives into the creative process and game-changing ideas. Start listening today.
When I was practicing, I faced clients, supplier, contractors, but not architects. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, and I think it's important to have a group of architects friends,
Hmm.
like countable. I mean the accountability. We're
Hmm.
able to counter each other. Like I have a few architects friends during my 7 blank period years.
Hmm.
Whenever I encounter any issues, I will go for them and they will able to give me very constructive advice.
Hmm.
So in a way that I feel that I'm not alone because having own setup can be quite lonely because we have to handle problems ourselves.
Hmm.
And even so, we have to lead a group of the younger architects in our team, you know. So yeah.
Is there anybody working with you in OTCQ or is you and Oscar only lah? Or
Yeah, correct. Yeah. We have interns and permanent staff mixture.
how many people working with you?
I have one permanent right now
Hmm.
and 3 interns. Oscar have 3 permanent and 1 intern.
Okay. Both of your companies are there lah, and you also
Mm.
working with Oscar on some projects, and so you may have shared some people as well lah. The
Mm.
full time here, 4 full times, and
Mm.
interns. Anyone from University Malaya?
No, at the moment don't have.
That's a crucial question that I would like to ask because then I would like to
Actually,
know who they are and
oh,
whether they
oh
are
no,
any good.
no, mostly from private university.
Yeah, whether they're any good. That's what I like to ask.
My location is so close to UM, but none of them applying to my company. Maybe they don't know me. Yeah,
I used to
perhaps.
get people to ask me to find students to work in their company, graduates.
Oh, mm,
So you know that there's a long history
mm,
of that. But
mm,
we come to the important word of community and finding, apart from the few people that you had communicated with, which were very helpful, but now you are leading, you are doing a role that has to do with some ideas and make it possible those ideas to happen, and which a lot of even the older generation architects like Ken Young, right, Dr. Ken Young, and the older generations who were there, coming American, I'm sure they were very excited about this generation of architect trying to create this community. And we can't really depend only on Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia or any institution, because the NGI is as important as the NGO, meaning the non-government individuals,
oh,
that create the smaller groups. And it's just that you don't have a place to do it, or you don't have a venue like Pam does. And
mm,
Pam has also to do some of the roles that Lembaga Architect Malaysia are doing. You know what I mean?
mm,
You
mm,
notice that, and due to the professional practice and due to some of the committees, they have to have the committees working with government agencies in some issues, right, to resolve certain things. Um, it is in Malaysia generally, because I'm from disability movement. I retired as to be in the group. Now I'm more of an individual doing architecture and having my activism through architecture, which is universal design, for example. So this is due to my age and the progression that I have. But when I'm looking back, and the government itself declared that they will not be able to do much without the help of the NGOs, which is also the NGIs. I was an NGI helping with disability movement, using my own individual knowledge and experience. So what I'm trying to say, this is what I see is quite typically what is needed in our country, because that's how we work. We're not Singapore top down, where everything is kind of regulated, and then all the residents have to do is complain, and then the officer will come down and resolve the matter. Do you know that's how Singapore works? We're not. Malaysia doesn't work that way.
The
And
Gotong Royong style.
Gotong Royong style, and
Yeah.
you can see it almost like an NGI or NGO, right? So it's not sustainable because of the funds, and you also have to have your own company to work on. So although it's invigorating and you meet all these people and you get ideas of each other, what is it your wish? Because we can talk about this for another 10 minutes. What is your wish that could happen in this country? How could Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia help further, maybe in women architects as well in leadership roles? And things that you just, I throw it in open-ended question for you to pick on now. Yeah.
Oh, I think perhaps they can, but I believe right now in the PAM committee there are certain women in the positions. But I don't see a lot of women architects, female architects in a higher position. In general, they are at the committee level. Yeah, but for example, higher position like treasurer, or deputy president. But of course, we had architect Tan Pei Ying last time. Yeah, but that's why I was saying there's a gap in between for those who are coming up. Yeah, perhaps PAM can able to have a platform for women to have a space to speak up, and especially I think PAM had quite a good. Oh no, that one is Lembaga for the CPD points. During the MCO period, I think our CPD points we not able to collect enough points for that year, and they gave a lot of exemptions. And I was thinking that because I was bearing a child that time, so I was thinking possible for them to give this kind of exception for women with young children, like for example attending
Points, yeah?
CPD points, because we won't end up we attend the seminar that we have to just to collect points, but because CPD seminar is meant to train the architects or equip us with knowledge, right? So perhaps they give better allowance or exemptions for female in a young family, so that we're able not to tie with all these restrictions or strict regulations. And also the forum, I know because I'm not saying that most of the speakers are male architects, but it maybe just happened that most of the speaker the male are majority. So perhaps a platform for women architects to speak up their works, because I think I have seen for example BU's presentation before, and she shared the similar struggles like me lah, when we all having children, young children, so our career path is not easy. I mean, especially when there's a point that we are starting to building up, and also that mostly the same time with we having the young children.
It looked like in your case, you were trying to figure out how you're going to negotiate marriage and having a family with working, because it seems that it is not presented to the female architect the choices that one could make. one could still, I mean, Architect Aisha felt she was lucky to go back to her uh,
Old
previous
company.
employer. And then for some people, they may not be able to do so. Their previous employer will not take them back, or they lose seniority, or they're going back to square one. There are a lot of considerations and how they need to negotiate when they are going to have a family. And this is of certain age. We know that the cutoff point, 35 years old or something, 36 or 37, because we know that female architects, because they graduate like what, 23, 25, 26, and then there is this window of opportunity to create a family, or first you have to find a partner, right? And then so it should be something that is helpful from the industry. Industry should assist female architects to negotiate this difficult
Yes.
window of their lives. And that's something that Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia need to address. And you said, rightly so, a platform, not only for female speakers just now, but for women to have a space in terms of there's a committee to deal with this in PAM.
Yeah.
You think women themselves are at fault when these things, people may ask this, and they themselves say, oh, no need this thing. You think women are at fault of themselves? I suspect women are not helping themselves. What do you think?
I think, I don't know. I just feel that as a female, we able to multitask a lot of things. And when I look back, I don't know how I did that during that stage. But I would say we are very, determined.
Yes.
And determined. And most of the time, I mean, maybe it's the nature of to survive, as a instinct for female. Because if you notice, we are more how to call that, the survival mode. We're able to endure. Our endurance also able to go for a very high level. So and also we have the heart of the empathy, like for example, how I juggle between the children and career. So I will be more willing for sacrifice myself in terms of sleeping times, in order to able to juggle both, like the work. The last few years, I only sleep a few hours every day, and most of the time I'm alone during the midnight in meeting the deadline for presentations, for works. So I think the responsibility in us makes what we able to go through that stage. And I believe when the most difficult stage is over, we able to strive. When we are at a more comfortable level. And that's why I think what PAM can do is to create a platform to give the opportunity for the female, because I believe a lot of good architects, design architects, they are just lack of opportunity for them to shine. So I think PAM, if PAM able to provide a platform or opportunities for this group of people who shine a little bit later because of these conditions, right? Like the window that you mentioned, the window to childbearing, or at the same time also a time to strive for their career. Yeah, this group of people need to be taken care of, I think.
Yes. I'm sure that for me, I'm lacking in knowledge and actually exactly what it is that is necessary when negotiating with, if you're working with a developer, if you're working with an architecture company, if you're working on your own. Maybe the PAM could create a committee to search, find out how assist those in the architecture field when they are female and needing some policies to be looked at. It's about I'm sure there are policies in government that allows maternity leave, but what about paternity leave, or what about support in terms? What about the companies who, it is very sad if a company disregard that, shall we say, promotion, or give a penalty lah, not giving a policy for people who have to have maternity leave, or even go for 1 year away from the company. So Pam could actually talk to companies, other architecture companies, or Pam could talk to government agencies. So there is this thing where we hope that through our conversation, give some ideas for others as well to think about this. Because it's not only you talking about this, it's also other architects. And it's a specific to Malaysian context that we're talking about, which we can learn from other countries as well. We're actually going to the end of the
Okay.
part 2 session, which you have this. You have the latest was being invigorated by having some social life with other architecture community, or creating an architecture community and having all these ideas. And there is nothing wrong for your group to create another organization. But, and of course, when we talk about institutions, we talk about institutions that need to be helpful for those people who are they're representing, for example. So what do you think if there was a female architects institution or organization? I'm trying to help you with the conclusion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think might not necessary to have a committee specifically for female architects, but at least the committee for Pertubuhan Architect Malaysia to have this not concerns lah, have this care for the female architects, because by nature, during that stage of life, we have that process. And perhaps Pam can think of how to get involvement of this group of female architects. Like for me, I have this 7 years of gap. So during that 7 years, I could have perhaps some involvement in something, or they get in touch with me. Like, for example, how do I reach out for a wider network during that period, because I had my own setup, but it's very small. Yeah. So perhaps open up a window for female architects during that stage of life it does helps. And also it won't be like the so-called 7 years of blank period. Yeah. And also the connection to universities, perhaps, like for example, I get to know there are mentee ship, right? Yeah. So perhaps during that time I could be someone's mentor, but doing it online, things like this. So I'm in connection with the industry or community from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, when we entered the architecture profession, when we were first year student, we did not know that we are entering a club, but the club could be just male dominated club. Or some places are run with a cult. In a company they have to go and follow the boss or the fashion or a style, and you have to follow. Architecture is quite noticeable that we have that happen in our field. But yeah, you're saying that it is necessary that they have to deal with this thing. And there are many other issues in the industry, for example, sexual harassment or stuff like that, unequal pay or things that have been raised, yeah, work-life balance where, may not be fair for some people who are having a family and stuff like that. That could be addressed and not be just ignored, right? So with that in mind, do you have like any other things to advise the younger architects, or maybe anyone out there who wants to start practicing like you do, in general, not necessarily for women alone, but in general?
Perhaps the hunger for exploration, because I think that the architects nowadays are not hungry enough. Yeah, the younger generation. Or I don't know, maybe perhaps I don't understand them good enough, but I can feel like the eager to learn more is a bit lacking, because like last time when we go to somewhere, we will admire the detailings, the material, or we will go around the town to see what are new in the town, and also in reading books. I think there are many ways sharpening our knowledge in this architecture field. But I do feel like the younger generation might have a little bit more interest in other things than architecture. Well, I know that knowing more things will able to, infill what we think about architecture. But the architecture knowledge itself shouldn't be lacking before you explore other things. Otherwise, you will slowly, going into other things rather than staying here doing architecture. Yeah. So that's what I see and things recently.
Any positive note that you find recently about architecture and architects?
Oh,
Positive note.
positive note. Yeah, actually, yes. Good and bad things. Contractor nowadays are younger and they're willing to explore special details, and material. But the young contractor I mentioned is like 40s, same age with me. But I don't see any 20s or 30s contractor. So, and they keep mentioning about to me that there's no one to pass on for the construction field. And I think perhaps there's an opportunity for the younger architects to, there's an opportunity for them to go venture into like design and build, because what they think they build, So it's a healthy situation in a way. But whether there are someone who willing to, explore in this direction. Yeah.
There is you think there is a potential for this to be filled. I mean, there are a lot of people interested in design and build.
Yeah. Because contractor nowadays really no one to pass on. Or very, very few.
It's interesting. It's interesting for you because you do a lot of design and build work, right? So,
Oh, no, I don't do design build, but I see a lot of tendency or opportunity in the
no,
future.
you don't do design build work. You're not a contractor, but
Yeah.
you happen to be trained as an architect. Let's correct that. But you see this potential in the industry. So good luck to you and your architecture practice and your partnership with Oscar and your family. Wish you all the best. And I'm so thankful that you're able to join us today in Talk Architecture Podcast.
Thank you, Dr. Nazati. Thank you.
Okay, you take care. Okay, here we go.